Hey everybody, it's the B.I.V here, the Notorious B.I.V. And today we need to talk Captain Marvel because I'm seeing Avengers Endgame tonight. And so yeah, this is a little late. It's a little late, but I think I have some unique perspectives to share, with y'all. So um, let's get to it. So first of all, um, there's a lot to unpack with this movie, honestly. There's just, there's all the controversy around it and all this stuff. And so I just want to, we'll get to that, okay? We'll get to that. Going into this movie, I was a little skeptical. I didn't see it opening weekend. I didn't want to, but I did finally go see it. And like I said, going in, I was a little skeptical, but it was a good movie. It was decent. Was it amazing? No. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't. But it was enjoyable. It was entertaining. And I guess to start off with, uh, let's do a little We're gonna do a little history, okay? So, from my perspective, history from my perspective. The history according to the B.I.V. It goes like this. So Marvel Comics kind of got you had the Shazam, well, the Captain Marvel / Shazam character. Okay, that was like way back a ways in the comics. Um, the trademark kind of got lost in space, and Marvel pounced on the name. They were like, oh, we're gonna get the name. They got the name to Captain Marvel. DC Comics got the rights to the character, Captain Marvel, but they couldn't use the name because Marvel had been using it for a while. So when Marvel got so then that became Shazam. Okay, but the Captain Marvel character. So Marvel had this name, Captain Marvel, and they had the male Captain Marvel character who was like a Kree guy, Kree superhero, and then then they had like Ms. Marvel, who was like I guess she was like the female counterpart to Captain Marvel, and that was the Carol Danvers character, was Ms. Marvel. Okay, and so she she and Captain Marvel, the male Captain Marvel, kind of kicked around for a while, but they weren't all that popular, honestly. And Marvel kind of like put them on ice basically for 10 or 20 years in the 80s when when the X-Men Rogue stole Ms. Marvel's powers, and Ms. Marvel, basically her psyche got sucked into Rogue, and that's how she was for like years. That's how popular the character was, right? They just kind of killed her off, and so it's only been within the last 10 or 20 years or so that they decided to bring her back and make her this sort of flagship Marvel character, right? Because she bears the Marvel name, right? So they wanted to make her this iconic, this new iconic, like the face of Marvel or whatever, right? So they brought this character back, but like the problem is you can't manufacture an icon. You know what I mean? You just can't. You can't do that. Captain America, Thor, Spider-Man, like these are Marvel's icons, right? And they're icons because they've stood the test of time. They've been around forever. There have been different iterations and whatever. They've evolved over the years, but everyone loves them for different reasons, and they've stood the test of time. So, Captain Marvel, though, she doesn't have that. You know what I mean? She doesn't have that that status as an icon. And Marvel has brought her like into the comics. They've brought her back like 3 or 4 times, tried to relaunch the Captain Marvel series and make her this iconic character. And it's like you just can't. You can't manufacture greatness, right? You can't tell everyone, hey everyone, this is an iconic character. You love her. It's like, well, no, we don't really. She's just like this generic character that you guys made up and gave her these crazy superpowers, and I don't know, whatever. That's the history of Captain Marvel. So going in, I'm just like, it's not a character I really care about. It's not a character a whole lot of people care about. And so there's that. You know, obviously that all the controversy kind of put me off a little bit. And honestly, if this movie had come out like, you know, if they'd made this movie 5, maybe even 10 years ago, right? If they'd made it like right after the first Avengers movie, if we'd gotten Captain Marvel, like I don't think this would have been a problem. But it was just it was a timing thing, is what it was, because you know, Captain Marvel comes out on the heels of that stupid female Ghostbusters movie that everybody hated, and more importantly, it comes out on the heels of The Last Jedi, which I think was kind of The Last Jedi kind of sucker punched a lot of fans. You know what I mean? Because, you know, after The Force Awakens, fans were like, oh, okay, that was kind of cool, whatever, right? But then The Last Jedi came along and just kind of like took fans by surprise. It just like was like kind of pulled the rug out from under them. And you know, a lot of people liked the Last Jedi, and a lot of people hated The Last Jedi. And I wasn't too thrilled with The Last Jedi myself, but when Captain Marvel was announced, I think fans were kind of like, oh hey, like I assume a lot of Marvel fans are also Star Wars fans, right? I like them both. I've always been a big Star Wars fan, big Marvel fan, and so so when Captain Marvel came out, I think a lot of fans were just like, oh hey, it's happening again. Like, we're not gonna let this happen again. And they were like, you know, we're not gonna get blindsided this time. We're gonna go on the offensive, and we're gonna like, you know, we're gonna throw the first punch or whatever, right? So a lot of people just like jumped on this movie like from the first trailer, right? Like, you know, oh, you know, Brie Larson's lame, and Brie Larson has the same expression in every frame, and you know, Brie Larson hates men, and you know, and that wasn't helped by the ad campaign, which was like, you know, Marvel's like, oh, a female hero, yay, she's awesome, she's a female, she's tough, and whatever, right? And it's like no one has a problem with a female hero. Like, you don't need to shove it down our throats, right? Everyone likes Black Widow. Everyone liked Wonder Woman. So you know, so I think that was the main thing. It's like a lot of people just kind of overreacted at the beginning and just kind of piled on, and it was kind of downhill from there. But like I said, if this had come out, you know, a few years prior to all the controversy, I don't think, you know, if it had come out before The Last Jedi, I don't think it would have been a big problem. You know, I don't think it would have gotten as many problems as it did. And but you know, timing's everything, isn't it? So going into the movie, I wasn't expecting a whole lot. And honestly, too, the fact that it's a prequel kind of bugs me, because I really tend to not like prequels. There's just a lot of problems with prequels, which not just because the Star Wars prequels suck, but anytime you're watching a prequel, like you know nothing like earth-shattering is gonna happen, right? You know, like nothing. Prequels can't change a whole lot, right? like you knew none of the Star Wars prequels were going to change anything that happened in like episodes 4, 5, and 6, right? Because it's like those were already filmed. Everyone loved them. They're in the bag, and it's like you're not going to mess with that, right? So it's like anything that happens in a prequel is like generally it doesn't really matter that much, right? Because it's like it already happened. And for example, um, so what they try and do in prequels generally is they'll go and do they'll just do all these dumb little like trivial things that like relate to the to the movies that have already come before, right? So they'll do things like like in Solo, for example, right? Han Solo, like some dude like hands Han Solo his blaster for the first time, right? And it's like, oh look, Han Solo got his blaster, right? And it's like, I don't care. I don't care how Han Solo got his blaster, right? Like when I was watching episodes 4, 5, and 6, I wasn't wondering the whole time, oh gee, I wonder how Han got his blaster. Right? Like no one cares. No one. That's not a question in anybody's mind. And when he gets, when he mentions in Empire Strikes Back, oh, I won the Millennium Falcon in a bet from Lando, right? Like that, there's that story, and we're like, but no one's like, oh, gee, I'd really like to see that story, right? We're just like, oh, okay, that's what happened, cool. Like that's all we need to know, right? Like Han and Lando have a past. That's all we need to know. So, um, so that's a problem with prequels, and Captain Marvel's no different really in that regard. Um, there are a lot of little Easter egg things that are like, I don't know, things like what's the big one? I don't want to give too much away. I'm sure everyone's probably seen it by now, but like Nick Fury at the end is like writing this report, right? And it's the Avengers Initiative, right? And it's called something like the Protector Initiative or something stupid like that, right? And he looks over at a picture of Captain Marvel standing next to her fighter jet, and her call sign is Avenger, right? And it's like, and he's like, oh, and then he like crosses out Protector and types in Avenger, right? The Avenger Initiative, and it's like just dumb things like that, right? It's like no one was wondering how the Avengers got their name, right? When they were watching the Avengers movie, like the first Avengers movie, like they're called the Avengers, cool. Like that's all we need to know, right? We don't need to know that like Nick Fury, looked at a picture of Captain Marvel and got the idea for the Avengers. It's just like that. It's just dumb little trivial things like that. So that's why I don't really like prequels, and Captain Marvel does a little bit of that in this movie. So, getting to the movie itself, I guess I'd give it a solid C plus B minus. It was a good movie, and I kind of get why Marvel did the whole prequel thing with it, because because you can't just keep doing these origin stories over and over again, right? It gets kind of silly after a while. So they were just kind of trying for a fresh angle with an origin story, and it works on that level, I get why they did that, but again, prequels they're just kind of dumb. So first of all, a lot of people said that like Brie Larson's acting in this movie was like all wooden and kind of weird and stilted, and I honestly think she actually did a pretty good job, because basically the deal, and they kind of do it in the movie. Basically, she's like a human that's had her memories wiped out, right, by the Kree, and they're like pretending she's a Kree, right? And they're like, oh yeah, you're Kree, and she believes she's Kree, and apparently the Kree are a little less emotional than humans. They kind of bring that out in the movie too. And her mentor guy is always telling her, "Oh, you got to control your emotions. You got to like, right?" And so she's basically playing a human whose human tendencies are coming out all the time, but she thinks she's Cree and she's trying to be Cree, and so she's trying to like suppress all these natural human emotions that she has, right? And I think that's probably the direction she was given, and that's the character she was trying to play, and I think she does a pretty good job of that. I think it works, you know. I think she, so you know, people saying that she was acting weird in the movie, I think it worked. I think it worked for the movie. Um, and you know, Samuel L. Jackson did a pretty decent job. He's kind of sidelined though a little bit. I don't know. It was weird because Nick Fury is supposed to be like this big badass, right? And in this movie, he's kind of the comic relief almost. You know what I mean? Like, um, that was just kind of weird to see him in that role, like as the comic relief, right? Because we've only known him as this super badass dude, right? And it's like, oh wait, he suddenly became a badass, like, you know, in the last few years. You know, before that he was like this kind of dopey cop guy, you know. So that was a little weird. Um, I think, and the other thing too is they had Ronan and Phil Coulson, like Agent Coulson, were both going to be in this movie, right? That was kind of like one of the selling points, and they're like blink and you miss them. Okay, they have like the tiniest roles in this movie. It's ridiculous. So I think Agent Coulson's scenes were decent. You know, there was a scene that kind of shows that like, you know, he has some good instincts, right? That's basically all you get of his character in this movie. I mean, it's like he's got like a couple minutes of screen time is all. And same with Ronan. You know, Ronan. I was expecting more from Ronan, and he's just kind of like this. He's just he's not even a character in this movie. Honestly, he's just like this non-character. He shows up at a certain point for a couple minutes and is like, "Oh, I'm here to." It's like he gets summoned by the other Kree to, you know, blow up the Earth or whatever, right? And he comes in with his ships, and he's like, "Okay, I'm here to blow up the Earth." And then like Captain Marvel comes and destroys all his ships, and he's like, "Okay, well, never mind. I guess I'm not going to." and, and that's about it. Like he doesn't really do much, and I was hoping to see. I mean, he was like this almost like crazy, like off his rocker guy in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, right? And I was like, oh, maybe we'll see like, you know, how he got to that point. But no, nothing like that. Um, so I think Brie Larson did a decent job. You know, the actress Brie Larson, yeah, she kind of rubs a lot of people the wrong way. But you know, Chris Evans is you know, he spouts off on social media and stuff too, right? And everyone loves him as Captain America. I mean, these are actors, right? You can if you want to hate on the actors or whatever, that's fine, but like they're still actors and they can act in a role, and that's, you know, that's what they do. And Brie Larson's a great actress, and she did a good job as Captain Marvel, I think. I'm excited to see her in Endgame, honestly, and see if like maybe now she's acting a little more herself, right? She's not like fighting against her human emotions. She knows she's human now, and she's you know, I don't know. Maybe we'll see a little more out of her in Endgame. But overall, you know, overall it was a decent movie. I didn't think any of the other characters were especially interesting. I didn't think Monica Rambeau was all that interesting. Her flight partner or whatever. Um, I didn't think any of the other Kree or the Supreme Intelligence were really that interesting. Um, and the Skrulls weren't that interesting either. I was a little disappointed that the Skrulls, that that this particular group of Skrulls are much less menacing than they are in the comics. In the comics, like the Kree and the Skrulls are both just like these super space dicks that like go around dicking it up in space and dicking with the Earth and whatever else, right? They're just like they're jerks. They're both jerks. But in this one, they kind of like humanized the Skrulls a little bit and made them a little more likable, I guess. Which I don't know. Hopefully, we'll see dickish Skrulls up to all sorts of dickery in like a Fantastic Four movie or something down the road. But anyway, I don't know. I think like I said, Captain Marvel was decent. It was entertaining. I don't know. This might be I'm excited for Endgame tonight, right? But this might kind of be the end of the whole Marvel thing. I don't know. We'll see. Captain Marvel. It was as good a prequel story as like maybe Thor or like the first Thor or Captain America: The First Avenger, right? Like it was on par with those, but like I don't think it was as good as recent origin stories like Doctor Strange and Ant-Man and Black Panther. Like those were much better, and so it kind of feels like a step back. The Captain Marvel movie kind of feels like a step back for Marvel as a whole. It's as good as some of those earlier origin stories, but it's not as good as some of their more recent stuff. And now, so coming up now after Endgame, it's kind of up in the air. I mean, we got the Spider-Man movie coming out, but after that you've got like the Eternals and Shang-Chi, which is like this kung fu master guy. They're just like they're not. I don't know why they're going in the direction they're going, but they don't look. I'm not really excited to see any of those movies particularly. So we'll see where the Marvel Universe goes after Endgame. But I don't care. Just give me Endgame. Captain Marvel was good. Like I said, I'll give it a B minus, C plus. And I wanted to get this out before Endgame tonight, and I will be back here tomorrow to review Endgame, baby. So be ready for that. Anyway, I think I've said everything I'm going to say. So, I love you guys. Thank you for your support. And please like and subscribe if this is interesting to you. Hopefully my reviews get better and better. You get better with practice. Okay? That's a life lesson from the B.I.V. Okay? Practice. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. And that's it. This is the B.I.V. And I will see you then. Bye.